Hi there, welcome to Lake Otamangakau. My name's Dave Conley, I work for the Department of Conservation based in Turangi. And what I'd really like to do is just show you guys a few approaches to fishing Lake O that can help with your success rate when you come up here. Now Lake O is a really special place to fish. As you can see, it's beautiful, but it's also a really tough place to fish. There's a lot of fish in this lake, but they can at times be really tough and hard to get out. So a few basic approaches to what we're doing can really make a huge difference to how many fish you put in your catch bag. So take a look, and hopefully we can give you just a few tips and a bit of advice as to how to make the best out of your trip to Lake Otamangakau. So what I thought we'd talk about first is how to fish the damsel nymph. As you can see from this little fella, there's a lot of them around on the lake, probably the primary food source for trout in the lake, and trout really do target them. They're really high calorific value to the fish. So learning to fish, it's really important if you want to come up here and be successful. Basics are pretty simple. Fly rods, anything from a 6 to a 9 weight will work. Floating line, preferably something not too bright in colour, and a leader down to about 6 pound. You don't want to go lighter than that because a big fish in here will take you into the weed no problem and bust you off. And the approach is pretty much look out across the weed beds that you've found, the edges that you've found, look for fish moving, and you just want to work those areas very gently by casting the line into the weed and retrieving slowly off. And the take is often very, very delicate. So fishing the wet fly on Lake O is one of the more popular techniques, probably the most popular technique for fly fishermen up here. It opens up a lot of options for you. You can either fish flies deep, across the top, slowly, quickly, whatever your preference is, and use a variety of lines to do it. So keeping it simple for the purposes of today, really the idea is to fish as much water as you can, cover water. It's a great way to prospect areas, a great way to find out where the fish might be holding on a given day. So the idea is really either from a shoreline position or from a boat, work the edges of the shore or the edges of weed beds. Same tackle you use when you're damseling. The floating line works well. Again, about 12-foot leader, and a marabou style or woolly bugger style wet fly works particularly well. So obviously everyone's going to have their own take on how to do it. And as you can see from my box, I've got a range of flies here. But the idea for me when I'm wet fly fishing is I like to fish quickly and I like to fish quite aggressively. So I use flies that have got some weight in them, either some dumbbell eyes or gold tungsten beads, something like that for a bit of flash. And I like to cast and strip very, very aggressively and quickly and really stimulate a response from the fish. And you can find, there's some videos on YouTube that show guys fishing much like that, and the fishing can be sensational when it's going off. So, give it a go, see how you get on. Another technique that's really popular up here is to fish nymphs. Now, as we talked about with damsels, nymphs are the predominant component of trout's diet up here, And there will be days when the fish, particularly on a hot sunny day like today, where the fish like to hunker down deep and get down into the deeper water. And they're still accessible. You can access those fish, you just might need to change your approach. Nymphing's a technique that probably is far more suited for fishing those deeper areas, those deeper channels. The key thing really is to make sure you're fishing your flies somewhere down near the bottom in that deep water. And so you might want to start with something like a 20-foot leader. You can move your indicator up and down to get your flies suspended just up above the bottom, regardless of the depth you're fishing. And that's really important. That's probably the key thing to get your head round when you're trying to fish indicator nymphs up on Lake O. So ideally you want to be fishing from a boat, and the approach again is try and find a weed edge where it drops away into deep water, anchor your boat up on the top of that weed bed and fish out into the deep. Or the other way you'll see it around the lake is guys actually drifting the deeper channels, put a drogue out the back of the boat to slow you down, and they drift with the wind, casting downwind and drifting down on their flies, and repeating that as they go through the channel. Probably the final technique that we really need to talk about, because on a day like today there's bugs everywhere, is fishing the dry fly up here on Lake O. And that's a tactic that at the right time of year can be absolutely brilliant. When the cicada are out, or the green beetle are out in particular, you can have some absolutely stunning fishing the dry. And again, you'd want to target the same areas really that you're targeting, particularly when you're damselfly fishing. Those edges, the weed beds. The wind will often push floating food and raft it up against weed beds and ropeoar beds as well, and those areas are often full of fish. So that's another technique to think about, and cicada patterns, beetle patterns, or even a good damsel, a drowned damsel pattern will work well up here too. Well, that about wraps it up for what's been a pretty good day actually. We've tried a variety of techniques up here, and we've worked pretty hard to get on to fish, but as it turns out we've managed a couple, including this one, which I'm going to take home for the smoker. Hopefully there's been something in that for you. We've really just tried to get people started, so if you're just starting out on Lake O or haven't found yourself terribly successful, we hope there's something in that for you. And you know, it'd be great to see you guys up here sometime, and if you do see us, come and say hello. You know, we're always happy to chat. And just a final thing, you know, we've seen how beautiful this place is. Let's look after it, eh? So just check, clean, dry your gear before you head up. We'll see you out on the water.